What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. Now, the other day I got a comment from one of you saying that I haven't done a video on r/OlderThanYouThinkIAm in over 3 months, and to be honest, I was kind of shocked. I checked back through my old videos and yeah, you're right, I haven't, so I thought, why not, let's bring it back today. Guys, if you haven't heard of this subreddit before, trust me, it's pretty self-explanatory. It will all become clear in the first story. Here we go. It's hard to be a teen mum. This happened many years ago in 2004. I decided to start exercising with the goal of losing about 30 pounds. A small, independently owned ladies circuit training gym had opened up in the strip mall I worked at, so I joined. It really worked, and the weight started coming off. Unbeknownst to me, I was in the early stages of pregnancy. I never had any morning sickness or any symptoms at all. I had just had a medical procedure, so I suppose I wasn't tracking my periods like I should have. In any case, I found out about the baby, got over my shock, and after a little while, I was ready to tell the relevant people in my life. You know, shocked boyfriend, disapproving mother, uncaring boss, the usual. I thought I should tell the nice owner of the circuit gym, seeing as I couldn't do some of the exercises as my pregnancy progressed. After I told her, the formerly sweet and nice owner started acting very different. Before, she would speak to me like you would to a peer. Afterwards, she started sighing when she looked at me, shaking her head, etc. Like when your mum says she's not mad, just disappointed. One night, it was only her and I in the gym, and she's now dropping little comments about how it's super hard to be a teen mum. I said, yeah, I'm sure it is. She tells me that she was a teen mum, and it was the most difficult thing ever. And if she had to do it over again, she'd make different and better choices. I'm getting a little confused as to why she's telling me this, but I make sympathetic noises as is appropriate. Then she says, it's unfortunate that you'll have the same difficulties I had. I still wasn't getting exactly why she's telling me this, so offhandedly I said, well, things will probably be a lot easier for me, since I'm 26 and have a steady job. She stared at me for a long while before saying, I thought you were a lot younger. And I realised she had thought I was 16 or 17 years old. From then on, I got spoken to peer-to-peer again. I still look pretty young for my age, but I have a lot of grey hair now, so nobody mistakes me for a teen mum anymore. It's probably also because of the lanky teenage son. Yeah, I'm sure that wouldn't help. The only slightly confusing thing about this story, in my opinion, is that the owner of the circuit gym's opinion of you changed when you said you were pregnant. I mean, that's a little bit weird, given that she was also a teenage mum back in the day. Surely she should have been a little bit more supportive of you or given you some sort of advice, not, you know, seen you in a worse light than before. Doesn't really make too much sense to me. Guys, let me know if you agree down below, but yeah, if that was me and I was looking at someone and they'd said they'd been a teen mum or a teen parent back in the day, I would ask them for advice. You know, I'd want to speak to them more, not just like disregard their advice and not care about them and see them in a worse way than before. And you know, I hope that would be the same the other way around. Now for our next story, you'll regret it when you're my age. This happened last week and I thought I would share. I was with a friend and one of her friends who I'd only met a couple of times. My friend was saying that she is saving up for a tattoo. I was supportive and asking about it. Her friend was looking uncomfortable and said to me, "Don't tell me you have a tattoo." I replied that I have a couple and showed them the one on my arm of a large blue flower. She rolled her eyes and said, "You'll regret that when you're my age. Tattoos are not a good look on ladies." I laughed and said, "I doubt it. I planned this for many years and didn't get my first tattoo until I was 40. There was a look of confusion on her face. "Pardon? How old did you say you were when you got your first tattoo?" I replied again that I got my first tattoo at 40, and my most recent one was just before my 43rd birthday earlier this year. She replied, "You're 43? I confirmed. And I asked her how old she thought I was. It doesn't matter. My friend told me later that her friend is 35 and thought she was older and wiser than me. In this instance, I don't think it's too bad people thinking that you're younger than you are. Surely it's a little bit of a compliment, right? You're good looking for your age. Nothing wrong with that in my opinion. Apart from that, yeah, being looked down upon a little bit just because you are younger is never something that is a good thing, obviously. It's not something I would do either. You have to respect that people that are younger than you can know a lot more about you know, things that you don't know much about. For example, tattoos. You know, this person could have way more tattoos. What I also like is that this woman got her tattoo probably not too long ago and then is already so annoyed at herself for getting it. She says you'll regret it at my age. Clearly, someone is not very happy that her tattoo hasn't gone very well and perhaps someone else's has. Now for our third story. Sorry, sweetheart, you can't pull the age card on me. I'm a 36-year-old female, but I have quite a chubby baby face, so I often get mistaken for being younger than I am. Although that is changing now that I'm developing some wrinkles. A bit of context. A few years ago, when I was 31-32, I went to the US, I'm Australian, to do the Disney International College Program, DCP, at Disney World. I'd recently done some studies. I wanted a career change, but also just wanted some time to work overseas and try something new, which is how I qualified for the program. There's no upper age limit on the DCP, so some older students like myself take the opportunity to do the program, but the majority of people on the program are aged somewhere between 18 and 24. For this reason, most of my co-workers just assumed I was in my early 20s rather than early 30s. This usually worked out well for me, as the other DCP workers just accepted me as one of them, although I never lied when I was pressed about my age. It did lead to some funny situations though, like having a couple managers who were several years younger than me, or people complimenting me on how mature I was for my age. Today's story actually happened after I returned to Australia in 2016. I remained Facebook friends with a lot of my co-workers, and when the 2016 US election happened, I saw a lot of varying political views being shared by them. Having just lived in the States, I was quite interested and definitely concerned about what was happening with the election. So I naturally shared some articles and videos that I felt were interesting or relevant. A few of my ex-co-workers didn't agree with me, which sometimes led to robust discussion and more often name-calling and insults, to which I was happy to use the unfriend button. This one woman though, probably around 50 to 60, would comment a lot about how she disagreed but stayed respectful. One day, however, we were having a discussion and she was clearly getting annoyed, and the conversation went something like this. Well, you will understand when you're a bit older and have had some actual life experience. That's a bit unfair. I think I've had a fair bit of life experience. Have you even finished college yet? Get a real job and buy a house and maybe we'll talk. Wait, exactly how young do you think I am? Well, you did the college program, so no older than 24. Thanks for the compliments, but I'm actually 32, 33 next month. And she was just speechless. She just kinda stopped responding to that conversation, lol. She made a few more comments on posts after that, but eventually faded into oblivion. It wasn't a massive fight or anything, but it made me feel good to call her out for trying to play the age card on me. Yeah, as I said a little bit earlier, I don't know about the age card. It's not a card that I would pull necessarily. It makes sense in some situations, of course, but you know, in this sort of situation, how do you know if this person has more real life experience or, you know, just experience in general? And also, if you are younger than someone, that doesn't mean you can't give your opinion in a discussion with them. Being older is not always an advantage. In fact, it's not an advantage in general. A lot of the time, old people say things that aren't correct, you know, let's be honest, and younger people know more. It's just a difference in age. It's not a big deal, and I don't think it should be used as any sort of card in any sort of debate or discussion personally. To be fair, if you disagree with me, let me know down below and tell me why. I'm happy to hear your opinions, guys. Now for our final story. 21st birthday turns into a long night, not in a fun way. This didn't happen to me directly, but to a very young looking friend of mine. He is shorter and has always been very skinny and could easily be mistaken for a high schooler at a glance. When this happened, he was the last of us to turn 21, in the US where the legal drinking age is 21. So we decided to take him out to the local bar district to celebrate. At the very first place we went, he was the first to try to go in and happily showed his ID, driver's license, to the bouncer. The bouncer took a long look at his ID, asked my friend to verbally confirm his birthday, which my friend did, but the bouncer still didn't believe him and said it was a fake ID. The bouncer then took the ID and put it in his pocket, saying he was confiscating it as a fake. We were, of course, fuming. All of us tried to argue that legally he wasn't allowed to confiscate it, though I've since learned that the law is a little fuzzy on this point, and that we'd be happy to go have one of the police officers that work security for the bar district area to verify it. But you know how bouncers can be. Once they are done with you, it's like talking to a brick wall. To make a long story short, we ended up finding one of the said police officers and got him to come talk to the bouncer. However, all that happened was the officer had the bouncer give give him the ID, but he still wouldn't give it back to my friend until he could prove by some other means that it was his. So in the end, we had to drive my friend, he didn't want to risk driving himself without his driver's license on him, back to his house, about 30 minutes away so he could dig up his birth certificate. We drove back, and by this time finding parking in the area was incredibly hard. But we finally found a spot, went and found the officer who had it, but he informed us he had dropped it off at the local police station. So then we had to make our way there. My friend was able to go in and finally get his ID back with his birth certificate as proof, though it took a while to get it done. The whole process took over 3 hours, and by then none of us were in the mood to be out after that, so we just headed back to one of our friends' place and had a few celebratory and legal drinks there instead. Oh man, that is such a shame. What a horrible way to spend your 21st birthday. It's not even your own fault, is it? Like, oh, that's just a bouncer being difficult for the sake of it. Come on. I get it, bouncers have a job to do, and if they are not completely sure, then yeah, it's fair enough if they don't let you in, and you can actually take someone's ID off of them as a bouncer if you don't believe it's real. But come on, look at the date on his card. It says today's date, you know, his birthday, his 21st birthday. Have a little bit of leniency, even if you don't think it's real, even though it clearly is a real ID. Just let him in, it's his birthday. Oh, come on. But even with that all being said, it's a real ID, so yes, he should be let in. And it's a shame as well that the officer didn't do more to help you. Maybe if you said to him, well, I assume you did, it's my friend's birthday, you know, it's my birthday, he should have done more to let you into somewhere in that district, because otherwise now he's going to remember this day for the rest of his life as the birthday that never really was. I couldn't celebrate it properly as I should have been allowed to, so yeah, it's a crying shame, and I'm sorry that that happened to you guys. And you know what else I'm sorry about, guys, is that some of you watching right now aren't subscribed to my channel. If you are not subscribed, hit the button. If you want more from me right away, more Older Than You Think I Am stories are up on screen right now. And also, with that all being said, I will see you tomorrow for a brand new upload, so turn your notifications on so you don't miss it. See you then.